Hi, I'm Whit Smith, and this is for the Red Hot Strings. I never know where to look on these things. I'm going to do two programs, basically. One more on the chording and one more on the soloing. So for the chording, I've found that sometimes it's helpful to have a few of the shapes under your fingers already so you can get more out of the class. Here we go. Some of these you're going to know, and some might be new for you. So on the chording, I move around chords a lot. So, and I go over that stuff. But let me just show you some voicing so that this is such a guitaristic shape that I use it. But for the purpose of this video or class, let's look at it as a G major 6 or G major 7. This one is G major 6. And the reason is because it'll be more related to the other shapes, sort of like from the same family, or all the notes follow the same scale up the string, evenly without any jumps. And those jumps can sound great, but they're more of a decision that you make because you like the sound, and it's not as foolproof system. So there's G major. So if you go up the scale, is essentially what we're doing to find the other chords, right? So G, third in the bass. So if I can do this, I can also do this. Third is in the bass. The fifth is in the bass. I always think of it as like this power chord, and I'll do this in other keys. It gets a little stiff up here. Right, that kind of power chord shape. The swing equivalent is where you can put your pinky on the root right there. And then we're going to use the fifth in the bass instead of the root, so you come over a string. And then you grab the third. If you imagined, if you had a capo up here and you played a G, it would look like a C chord, right? And there would be your root. We don't need that one. We'll take the third, though. It looks like this. Okay? Also, if you'd followed the note, the root would go to the third would go to the fifth. The third here would have gone to the fifth, and the fifth would have gone to the root. They all follow the number line. Okay. So this one is, I think, is the rarest, you might say. You might be completely familiar, but just, I'm not accusing it of anything. So one cool thing about these are when you learn them, first of all, you're thinking about what's in the bass, a root, a third, a fifth. And that helps in the future for making minors and augmenteds and things. Seventh chords, the gamut. On this, that is the fifth in the bass. The root up here is very easy to get to a major 7. So that would be G major 7, and that's G major 6. And typically when you play this, you refinger it to look like this, and you get the root back. So this is another chord to have under your belt buckle, your belt, whatever, in your hands. Let's say if I was playing a D, and I make the swing equivalent. Right? And then that's the major, that's just vanilla D major. And I can move my pinky down either way. I'm getting a major 7, that's D major 7 all day long. If I remove this, that's a 6. And as I mentioned, often you refinger that shape like that, and you catch some of the root up here. The higher notes are not as important for playing rhythm behind somebody, but if you're accompanying somebody, or you're going to play a chord solo, or you're just looking for a fuller sound, it's nice. Okay, so that would be the first thing to do. And then I often suggest playing 1, 4, 5 in one area of the neck using those voicings. So here, this is G major or G major 7. You can do this one if you want. Nothing wrong with it. Absolutely fine. The root is in the bass. That's what we're kind of looking for. When you go to the C chord, if you played C, you could, of course, move it up here and play root in the bass. But we're going to try to stay in one area. And if you stay in one area, you're going to end up using the other shapes. And those shapes, the nice consistent thing about this lesson is that those are the three shapes you would be using. We're not doing sevenths or minors or ninths or anything. We're just playing major. It's not perfect, but it's not offensive. And it's a good teaching tool. So here's G major. C major, that's the one that, look, we did it up here. Just imagine a C bar chord. And then you're going to keep the root, move the lower root over to the fifth here, and drop this third on. Okay, you can make it a major 7, a major 6 if you want, but look, all you need is this. So we have G major, C, and then D, if I'm being honest to what we're doing, D major, this, it would look like this. It's confusing when you have open strings because when you're not using a finger, it just topples things over. It's the shape. When you did G and you had the third in the bass, it's this shape, just done here. And so the nut is doing the work for you. And then G or G. So you can go. It's a little loose, little pale, watery, whatever you want to call it, for good swing rhythm. These are better. Sorry. It's tighter and closed, right? If I do this, I kind of let the fingers bump into the open strings a little so that they kind of, you get some control of the, it's reverb, it's sustain, too much sustain. Now, when you do this in other places, those problems are going to go away. So let's go to G up here and play C. Now, the first obvious thing is to play that. I don't know if it's obvious, but that would be the next C. You can make it G major 7 or G major 6. This is G major 6. And yes, the shape represents other things. I could call this F major 7, but let's not go there right now. We're playing 1, 4, 5, and we're using these three shapes, and we're going to call them the names that make sense to what we're doing at the moment. So, G major, C, and then D is down here. D major. Keep the root. Move this lower root to the fifth. Drop the third on. And then back to G. Okay, bonus. A little guitaristic thing that I like the sound of. G to C. Leave that finger clamped down. These two are going to slide up. This one's going to slide 1. This is going to slide 2. You're going to basically be making these two notes from this C chord. So there's 1, 4. Okay, 1, 4. And then, you know how a second ago we did the 5 by playing it like this? Well, that's good. Do that at first, but soon you're going to want to make those 5 chords 7th. That's Roman numeral 5 into a dominant chord, 7 with like D7. Very confusing, I'm sorry. G major, C, G, D7, G. More practical, sticking more to what the beginning of this lesson was G, C, D, G. That would be an A+. You'd be good. Last one. The G with the fifth in the bass. The C has the third in the bass. It's that familiar shape though, right? D would be, and see how it's kind of watery, doesn't sound right? D major sounds a little better, but still not perfect. D7 really was. So let's do this first just to get the information into your brain. G major, G major, C, D, G. Just do that a couple times. Don't develop any bad habits. Soon you'll want that 5 chord, the D7, the D to be a D7. So here we go. G, C, D7, G. So that's 1, 4, 5. 1, 4, 5, 1. So I'm going to do 1, 4, 5 here. 1, 4, 5. See how it's a D7? When I play D7, it's like the but I just put the fifth in the bass. You don't actually need the top, but yeah, if you got it. And G. G, C, D, G. G, or G6. C, D, G. Okay, if you memorize that, maybe try it in a couple of different keys. That would be very good for red hot strings in what we're going to be doing with rhythm, moving stuff around. Okay, I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit with the rhythm to seventh chords. Okay, and using what I call companion chords. That's Whit talk. No one knows what you're talking about if you mention that on a bandstand. It comes from the idea of 2-5-1. All right, so like in key of C, G is your 5, and C, D is 2, 1, 2. C, D, E, F, G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. C is 1, D is 2, G is 5. So I call them companions because the G and the D, they work great together. And that relationship, that interval distance, works great in any key. And if I just call it a companion chord, I don't have to digest all the information about the key, the flats, the sharps. Am I playing a 1 chord, a 4 chord? Is this an accidental? Whatever. I just know that this shape likes this shape. And if I feel aesthetically it fits the piece of music we're playing or goes along with who I'm playing, then I'll use it. So let me show you that real quick, okay? Here we go. Let's say you're playing a G7. Okay, just do that. G7. The 2 minor, or what I call the companion chord, is this. And I know it looks like an F with the third in the bass, and in fact it is the same group of notes. Don't worry about it right now. This chord and this shape, these 2 shapes like each other. They're pals. Every kind of music, it doesn't always work with every kind of music, okay? It's really up to you. But certainly in swing and Western swing, you often hear that sound of against, going on in some capacity. So here we go. If you can do this, try this. And the way you might practice that, if you're probably already familiar with it, but hang with me 2 seconds because this is going to compound very quickly. If you're not familiar with this, practice it like this. Smooth strokes so that you don't whisk through the part that you know and then go slowly through the part that you're learning. Make everything even. Okay, you do that, let's say over C7. Or 2 beats each. Okay, till it's just second nature. Same thing basically, using a different note in the bass and make like a G9. G9 is basically G7 with one more note and a whole step above the root somewhere. So there's G9, and 1 note difference, but a 2-finger change is G9 to D minor 7. Or the 2 and the 5, the 2 minor and the 5-7. Or in Whit talk, it's just the companion. This guy likes this guy. They actually, all 4 of these get along, and let me show you what I mean. First thing you do is practice the 9th. Okay, you get those 2, and then you put them together if you'd like. And there's no rules to how you put them together, but I'll give you an example. Okay? This is the kind of thing we'll go over in the class. And then there's more exotic, longer runs. But the idea is that you're moving inversions, and then you're throwing in chords that are, well, they're usually diatonic. They come from the same key, and they fit somewhere between the 2 inversions, like between this G and this G, you could throw a D7. between this G and this G, it happens that you can throw a C. These are sort of abbreviated chords, so this C could be looked at as an A minor with the third and the bass. And in A minor, if D is a 5, it's too much to really remember, but if D is a 5, then the A is a 2. They're from the key of G. G, A, B, C, D. D is your 5. G, A. A is 2. Easier is to just say, in Whit talk, companion chord. You have a D7, you can do A minor. So the D9, A minor. D7, A minor. All together. So that's how it's just a convenient shortcut, really. It's, and I get in trouble for shortcuts a lot, but they sure are handy in getting things rolling. Okay, see you at Red Hot Strings. I'll make another video for some single note things to prepare.